This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, January 2nd. Please stand for our invocation, led by Council President Small, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Come down. Arif Bradley from the My Sinai Missionary Baptist Church, if you can give us an invocation this morning, please.
Good morning, Egypt. Morning, shall we pray. Father, we are grateful again you've allowed us to be here to come as our city council and city officials handle the business of this great city. We pray your blessing upon this meeting. We pray your blessing upon each of our elected officials and the citizens of this city of Mobile. We pray your blessing in this new year upon all the business and all that will transpire in these chambers. And after all is said and done, we pray you'll be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Daves. Here. Councilmember Farrell.
Here.
Councilmember Woods.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone. Good morning. And I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone. It's good to see everybody in this new year. Welcome to our January 2nd, 2024 meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone have any type of electronic device, including cell phone, please at this time put it on the off or the vibrate position, the off or the vibrate position. Any person that is desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must give his or her name. Any person that is desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to express to the council must be identified and retained to the city of Mobile business. Anyone who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item would not be allowed to do so. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. Second bell indicates that the time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes of December 19th.
Second. And properly moving second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk.
Communications from Mayor Stimson.
Well, good morning and Happy New Year. It's good to see everyone. Over the last 10 days, I'd have to say that our city employees have been engaged in a manner trying to make sure that all of our citizens enjoyed the holidays. And I want to just say to each and every one of those city employees, thank you so much for your service and all that you do. As I look forward to 2024, I'm looking forward to working with the city council, our city employees, and all citizens to make sure that 2024 is going to be our best year ever. And to all the citizens and everyone, may our 2024 be filled with love, joy, peace, prosperity, and good health. So I look forward to 2024. Those that were not here last week and maybe didn't pay attention as they were coming in on I-10, if you come that way down I-10 to get off at the Water Street exit, you'll notice that the first 4 floors for the new Corps of Engineering building, the eastern end of the building, which is a tilt wall construction, has been erected. And so you can get an idea of what it looks like, what the first 4 floors will be as far as height-wise. And there'll be 2 stories built on top of that. So anyway, very exciting to see that. And Colonel, what is the timeline for hopefully finishing that building? Yeah, so a little bit more than a year, 13 months from now. So anyway, it's great to see this construction, great to see a crane in downtown Mobile with a new building. The city employees talking about how hard they've worked over the holidays to make sure that we can enjoy the things that we do for Christmas and for the New Year's. Mardi Gras is right around the corner, so everything really ramps up then. Mardi Gras Day this year is February 13th. We'll be kicking off the Mardi Gras season by lighting the tree this Saturday. Hope you'll join with Council President C.J. Small as we light the Mardi Gras tree, which is in Mardi Gras Park at 5:30. From 5:30 to 6:30, that'll be this Saturday. And you can enjoy a live concert from the Jukebox Brass Band. So look forward to seeing you. Thank you all very much. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Clerk.
Monthly finance report.
Morning, Mr. President, Council.
Morning.
So for November, we have to go back a little ways, but for November, total revenues, $23,772,625. Total expenses were $32,056,000. The standout in that, we did transfer the $9.6 million into the parking deck into the capital fund. So that took us down. We were expecting to have a loss for the month of $10,700,000. We had a loss for the month of $8,283,000. So we actually turned out better than we expected. Any questions?
Any questions coming from the council? Mr. Days.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick, for that. I noticed that the actual expenses year to date, $37,921,922 versus a budget of $53 million. So what have we not spent money on that we thought we were going to spend money on?
A lot of that is probably vehicles. What happens is departments will go in doing their budget if they expect to have a major expense sometime in the year. They will typically put that in the first month because they put it in the first month and then they have it in their budget so that they spend it. If they spend it in period 5, they've already accounted for it.
Okay, so it's really a timing issue.
Timing issue,
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions are coming from the council?
Mr. President?
Mr. Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we budgeted more for the month of November, and we spent less, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, was that more of, what was the reason? Did we gain more revenue?
No, actually, our revenue, we have kind of two standouts on revenue,
Okay.
which is one, our sales tax revenue is down year to date. And our investment, because the way it was budgeted was based on last year actuals.
Mm-hmm.
So our revenues coming in from investment are offsetting. So we're running about $1 million behind per month on sales tax, but our investments are producing about $1 million a month more.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other council members? All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, I'd like to read into the record the engineering report for the Rebuild Alabama Act, gasoline and fuel excise tax. In accordance with the reference Rebuild Alabama Act 2019-2, this correspondence shall serve as to document activities for the 2023 fiscal year. Recorded revenues totaling $1,395,740.40 for fiscal year 2023. $1,487,522.33 has been expended to date. By resolution 09963 adopted September 5th, 2023, the City Council for the City of Mobile adopted its annual transportation plan to expend $1.3 million on Tiger, Dr. MLK, and Broad Street. This project is in final design. Plans are to advertise and award the construction contract in the second quarter of 2024.
Okay.
Adoption of the agenda.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for waive the noise ordinance on January 6th on Monroe Street, April 27th, Langham Pavilion, with the time changing from 6:45.
They're going to put that, lay that over for 1 week.
Yeah, we're gonna lay it over for 1 week, both of those.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Public hearings today is request for waiver of the noise ordinance on June the 8th from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. in Langham Park.
Yeah, move to lay over for 1 week.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over for 1 week. Let's make sure this is correct. So the first vote, Madam Clerk, we voted on District 2, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't vote to lay over the second one yet.
The second one and the third one lay over for 1 week, yeah.
So, okay, we're laying over the second and third.
Yeah, but we only voted on the third. We need to vote to lay over
So the second one, April 27th.
April 22nd.
Okay.
Move to lay over the April 27th one for 1 week.
Second, been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over for 1 week.
Public hearings today is a public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved planned unit development located at 951 Downtown Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beckham Drive.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said
You
item.
want to take the other one too at the same time?
We can. Public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved planning approval for property located at 951 Downtown Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beckham Drive.
This opened up the public hearing for these particular said items. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on these items? Anyone present? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 1065 and 1067 Schillinger Road South from R1 to B3.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, you may come down to the podium by stating your name. Anyone present? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone newly annexed areas in Orchard Estates and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to R3, Kings Branch and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B1, Kings Branch and the Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to LB2, Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B2, Kings Branch, Orchard Estates, and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B3, and Orchard Estates and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to CW.
This opened up the public hearing for these particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, you may come down to the podium by stating your name.
Thank you, Mr. Small. To everyone, greetings, Happy New Year. Looking at these,
Give your name.
Reggie Hill, my apologies. To rezone these areas from R1 to B1 and R1 to LB2 and R1 to B2, R1 to B3, these are basically all the properties that are coming from the newly annexed areas. My question is the precedent that has been set for these communities. Were these, while they were part of the county's makeup, zone for business at that time, and because of them now being annexed into the city, they have been deemed residential? And how long have these areas been business or designated as business areas within the county before being annexed into the city? And is there any particular process that designates them differently than anyone else that's in the same makeup as going from a residential to a business area? So the primary thing is just understanding, again, how long were these areas already established as business parcels before being annexed into the community, and then the process of which they move from that new zoning that's being proposed.
Mr. Woods, do you mind talking about it also? Oh, okay. We're going to Shayla. And then we're also going to be laying over, tabling some items. Okay.
Okay.
Good morning, Council President.
Morning.
To answer the questions as outlined, the county has no zoning. So they were unzoned properties prior to being annexed into the city. State law requires that all properties being annexed undergo a zoning study, which was completed many months ago. That zoning study is then presented to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission outlines parcels, giving each parcel a zoning designation. The Planning Commission duly adopted those parcels, designated them for their various zoning designations, and now those parcels are before the City Council for final approval. In addition to that process, couple of community meetings were held, giving the citizens an opportunity to weigh in into that process. We actually held 2 meetings in the annexed area where we provided maps and gave very detailed information with regard to how those properties should be zoned. But I think the question at hand was how were those business areas defined or zoned rather before the city annexed them? And the simple answer to that question is that there is no zoning in the county, and those parcels were unzoned.
While you're up there, Ms. Pico, could you explain to why we're going to be tabling some items also, the last 2? Why we're tabling?
Oh, while we're tabling it. So as a part of that process, we are required to advertise. We separated them by parcels depending on the zoning designation. There was an error in one of those parcels, one parcel. So the process requires that we re-advertise them so that there's transparency in terms of the final step there, and then it will come back before the council, I believe in 4 weeks, for you to make a final decision on the slate of parcels to address the error with the one that we've highlighted.
And it's just the one, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, which one is it?
It's 64-008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, Mr. President,
Ms. Woods.
Speaker, can you also too kind of go into the process, public hearing, numerous public hearings, and then to Mr. Hill's point of the several folks, people that pay attention, several folks came down and did in front of the Planning Commission, were able to properly zone based on their usage, but really kind of. Really, the future use map is kind of what the newly annexed areas are being kind of zoned,
right?
Give or take.
So immediately following the annexation vote, we commenced with public meetings to present what we refer to as the future land use plan. And there were multiple meetings held within the annexed area to present the future land use plan. During that time period, we had average citizens and developers or realtors, real estate professionals come to us asking specific questions regarding the future land use plan. That resulted in the Planning Commission's final decision to make some amendments to the future land use plan, but it was decided upon and voted. So then the next step was to put forth the zoning study. And that's where all of the individual properties are rezoned. Multiple community meetings were held to present that same information to the public. And once again, we had citizens and real estate professionals come out and participate in that process. That resulted in a planning commission meeting where all of this information was presented in the form of a public hearing. And there were amendments made to the city's zoning study. And those amendments were approved by the Planning Commission. And what you have today is what came as a result of those meetings. An issue right now is the one parcel where there was an error. So all of this information was on the city's website, as well as the Map for Mobile website. We had interactive maps. So there was multiple ways for the citizenry to understand what the city was presenting by way of its zoning recommendations.
Mr. President,
Ms. Greger.
just in case people are concerned or had any other questions, when you did the future land use map and you came out with your study, if the properties were already being used as businesses or single-family neighborhoods, the city didn't come out and say, well, we're going to take this business property and turn it into residential, or vice versa, go to a residential area and say, well, we're going to turn this into business. I mean, none of that happened.
So the process for completing the zoning study was a multi-day future land use survey. So we went out parcel by parcel to identify the current use of those properties. There was no speculative zoning there. We, to the best of our ability, tried to match the zoning with the current land use. Now, what every parcel matched? Probably not, but to the degree that we felt that it was appropriate, that was the direction that we followed.
And then the last question I think that Mr. Hill had is, once this is approved, anyone who wants to change the zoning goes through the same process as anybody else would. You go through the planning commission, you get your rezoning, it comes to the council, just normal process.
Yes, ma'am. And in fact, you have acted on properties in the annexed area prior to this because for various reasons, the property owner wanted to move forward with their process. So they did individual zoning applications, if you will. So that will continue to occur within the annexed area. Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
While Ms. Baker is still here, if I could just ask one
Yeah.
quick thing.
Go ahead. Get all your questions out, Mr. Hill, if possible.
Okay, well, I mean, these questions only arrived because of her statements that were made, but I'll do my best. When she mentioned the required to advertise in the community meetings, excuse me, is there a specificity on the variance of between the amount of space? Who would be notified of what's going on? Meaning, like, I know with some matters it's 300 feet from whatever areas are being considered. That's who will be notified. And as well, there are certain things that have to be put in the paper aside from just the website and the other outlets that she mentioned. And with the people who are actually still being impacted by that, even though they might not be in the 300 feet radius, seeing that it's an entirely newly annexed area, was there any efforts made to ensure that they were aware of what was going on as well? So that if she could just give me
Mr. Biko,
insight on that.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Ms. Biko will not be answering that question.
Okay. Mr. Hill, if you can just go ahead and get all your questions out, and then I will ask the administration.
Those were
Okay.
the questions that I have remaining. Everything else y'all covered. Thank you for that.
And I'll ask the administration if they can just email it to you and everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Is anyone else present that would like to address
A question, Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll?
I'm assuming that the planning commission amended the that they amended the comprehensive plan to include the annex areas.
The,
Thank you.
yes, the planning commission, the first step was to amend the future land use plan, and the hearing for that took place on October 2023.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pico.
Mhm.
Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council on this particular public hearing? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Ordinance is held over. 64062 and 64063. Rezone property located at 4305, 4315 Halls Mill Road from B3 and I-1 to I-1, and rezoning property located at 4354 and 4364 Halls Mill Road from R1 and B3 to I-1.
So moved. Second.
And properly moved in second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions held over. 08-1361, approve item-based bids and contracts for fuel. 08-1362, approve purchase order to Dennis Aluminum Products for aluminum signposts and extensions. 08-1363, approve purchase order to Gauss LLC for rifle shields. 08-1364, approve purchase order to Stratton Services for tank repairs to Water Wagon. 08-1365, approved purchase order to UJ Chevrolet for repairs to 2021 Chevrolet Tahoe. Oh, okay. 08-1366, approved purchase order to University of South Alabama for EMT certification class. 09-1368, transfer funds from the general fund program and project management to capital improvements fund Mobile Greenway Initiative to fund change order for 3 Mile Creek project. 13-1369, authorized change order number 2 with Mott McDonald for 3 Mile Creek. 21-1370, authorized contract with Robert J. Baggett for bulkhead replacement at Cooper Riverside Park. 21-1371, authorized contract with geotechnical engineering testing for Civic Center parking facility inspections and construction materials testing services. 21-1372, authorized contract with ARCO Company Services for emergency generator preventative maintenance and repairs at various city locations. 21-1373, authorized contract with Southern Actuarial Services for consulting, preparation, and review of actuarial report. 40-1374, authorized extension of closing deadline for 63 South Royal Street. 60-1375 and 1376 are authorizing settlement agreement and release of claims.
So moved.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Mr. President, we need to go back to presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have people that, 2 persons that signed in for agenda items. Liz Luther regarding 08-1363.
Good morning. My name's Elizabeth Luther. Happy New Year. So I don't normally all the time look at the agenda, what's going to happen week to week, but I do. I'm grateful that I can do it at home and pull it up and look at it. And I did that on Sunday and saw the thing about the shields. And I think after I didn't get up in time to come downtown and watch the moon pie thing happen because I worked at the cruise terminal. And after you stood for 8 hours, you're not going to come stand down here and watch it, but I can see it from my house. But still, I was concerned about what happened that night. And I think considering how many people were probably downtown, the police department did a really great job at, protecting us. But it's still sad that someone had died from being down there. And I have so many people who come and they say that it's not safe to come down. When I was asking if they were coming to the event, they were not. because I still feel like it's
Uh,
unsafe
can you just
downtown,
stick,
but.
yeah, stick to the subject that you signed up for. Yes, stick to your topic. You signed
Oh,
up
okay.
for, yeah, okay.
So the thing about the shields and everything, my concern was I've seen on past agendas where we were starting to purchase automatic rifles for everything, and it makes me wonder, are we safer now, or is there things going on in the city of Mobile that warrant that we have to have this kind of power in our thing? I mean, is it for a SWAT team? What is it? I don't get it, because I'm like, I thought that we were in a pretty safe place. Why are we having to get this kind of shields and buy the ammunition for these high capacity kind of weapons? Is that what the police, I mean, it's not just protect and serve. It seems like it's more than that.
Yeah. So your question is why we have to,
Yes.
it
I mean,
better
it's
be-
to
yeah,
protect somebody, but still.
it's best to be safe than sorry. And so hopefully that we will never have to use it, but just in case if we have to, this, the police department is equipped for it and everything. And I pray that we don't have to ever have to use it.
Well, I hope so too, because I wondered if we have a SWAT team now or something like that, and this is what's going on, and that would seem to me that violence is escalating, and I want to feel safe about that.
Yes,
So,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Mr. President.
Mr. Davis.
I assume that it's a rifle shield and it's designed to protect the police officer.
That's correct. This is protective equipment. It's not offensive.
It's not
equipment.
offensive equipment. It's
That's correct.
protective equipment.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Reggie Hill regarding 08-1363, 08-1365, 21-1371, and 08-007.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And I think we should look at the rules piece because that, to me, was on topic. To the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, greetings. Reggie Hill is my name. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. I'll be brief. I know this is the first meeting of the year, but seeing that these items are here, I think it's necessary for us to address them. I'm going to work out of order from what was called. Let's begin, please, with 21-1371. And I asked about this at the meeting on, the last meeting, I think it was on the 19th. This $258,765 that's going towards the Civic Center. Again, is this additional resources? Was this already put in the budget that we approved long beforehand? Again, we know there was about $50 million that have been placed in this, but yet we don't have a copper penny on the inside of the facility. And so I just would love to have some clarity on what's actually going on with that, because again, it seems agenda after agenda, we're putting more resources into this property. Lastly, all of these matters equate together, which I believe her name was Ms. Luther, which we share a similar concern about the public safety in this area. We see on this agenda both of those things that were held over and being introduced, nearly $3.5 million that are being spent on this. As I mentioned before, when some other demonstrators came down, when Mr. Mans was president, and this came before this body about raises being put in place for that department, there was only one citizen that came down and spoke in favor of it, and that's me. I have family members as well as close friends who are part of law enforcement all across the country. So it's not, excuse me, anything that's personal, but it's still a matter of business here. We saw yet again where something took place, and I believe it's important because no one else is bringing it up. Instead of avoiding these matters, we're avoiding the tough conversations that we need to have to actually resolve the matter. We want to see the quality of life improve here in the city of Mobile, as we each claim here week after week after week. I would like to see if we're willing to put particularly $3 million into vehicles alone, and we see this at least once a month. Why can't we take one term of that away and actually invest in the initiatives that are actually going to be beneficial and improve public safety in the city? Why haven't we reevaluated what's going on with the performance contracts? We always have where the finance chair asks, well, where are you going to get the money from? Well, I think we have plenty in the fleet. It's not against Director Lasky or Chief Prine. I think they're doing the best job that they can under the circumstances. However, if you all are sitting here approving resources to be spent and these matters keep occurring and occurring, we need to take a different approach. And so I'm begging you all as we go into this year that we look at that. Let's just look at the numbers. Let's look at how we can move some of that. I think if we invested $100,000, just begin with $1,000 into things that work, we could see ourselves moving in the right direction and actually doing what's necessary for our people. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think it's very interesting that she came and spoke on that matter, because this is what we're seeing, but none of our leaders are having that conversation. So I look forward to more input on that. And please have the information about the Civic Center. Thank you for yielding the floor.
Mr. President.
Mr. Day.
Mr. Hill comes down here periodically and complains about the money we're spending on rolling stock. On rolling stock. When I ran for this office back in 2013, I took advantage of an opportunity that we all have to ride around with police officers in their vehicles. And I did 2 12-hour shifts. And the first police vehicle I got into had 186,000 miles on it. And the second one had about 130-something thousand miles on it. And this is the kind of vehicles that our police officers were driving around in. Our garbage trucks, half of them were out of service at any one time because they had too many miles on them. Same with the trucks. Our entire rolling stock was like that because we had stopped investing. We had stopped deploying capital resources into rolling stock. And so the administration, in a very smart move, led by Paul Wesch, set up a system where the departments have as a part of their budget the easiest way to think of it is a sinking fund. They rent vehicles and it comes back. But what's happening is each year we are taking out of operating resources the money to build capital resources to pay for the rolling stock. And this is set up so that we replace rolling stock at the end of its expected useful life. If we stop doing that, if we get off that track, we're going to be back at the same place we were 10 years ago, where we can't pick up the garbage because the trucks are out, where we got police officers riding down and poking, and it's expensive because now all this equipment's sitting in the shop all the time and having to be repaired. And we're having to put engines into 10-year-old vehicles. The best thing we can do is continue on this plan of replacing our rolling stock in an ordered schedule. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, let me, I was here before Joe. I got here in 2005. But let me talk about $258,000 since it was brought up. $258,000 is budgeted, and it's budgeted in the programming and design use costs of the Civic Center. It's being used for testing on the site, and hopefully it'll be that contract will be within reason. But let me talk about trash and garbage. When Gina and I got here in 2005, we couldn't pick up areas in this district, especially District 2, especially the tight areas, because of the lack of vehicles and the proper types of vehicles and the breaking down of vehicles. And the district that hurt probably more than Gina's district was District 2, because we could not and did not keep replenishing those vehicles. Now, if we want to take that money and put them somewhere else, and we wind up with those piles of trash down on Persimmon and Chicken Pen Street again, and at Spruce Streets, and at the end of Church Street, then let's do that, if that's the way that we think that we should go. But in the opinion to say let's push those monies off for a year right now, when we have a system that is going, that is helping to continue to better the system, I think we should do that. I mean, insinuations that we should stop doing some things to better the city right now, when you look at it, some of the things that have been implemented since 2005 are actually to our benefit and have been working extremely well. So right now, I don't see a need or a cause to delay those expenditures. I think that we're going right. Now, we've asked for the fleet count, I think. And I don't remember seeing fleet count and seeing where we are in the renewal of the fleet count. Hopefully we'll have that. It's been now 2 years since it's been asked for. I don't think we ever got that record. It was asked by the District 7 councilman, if y'all remember, District 6 Councilman, I'm sorry, Gina, before he left. But I don't remember getting that or those numbers or the years in which they were being redone. I think that was coming from a department. We do? Well, I don't have it, so if I didn't read it, I read everything. But I think that, we can get that and redo it, and that would answer some of these questions and make that public knowledge. I really don't have it, guys, because I would have remembered that. But to be able to continue to provide those services and renew our rolling stock has helped us. And the other thing is it really helped us in the police department, too. I mean, we have additional fleets and new cars on the roads and things that can help us in places that we really need them, and cars that aren't breaking down, and also motorcycles. So I see it's a benefit to us. Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor.
I can also make a comment that the replacement of these vehicles on a periodic basis is, according to what everybody said, is extremely important. We're facing an issue right now, and it's not just the city of Mobile, it's all across the country with supply chain issues. And the vehicles that we have ordered for this year, we're already behind a year on receiving vehicles. And so, we will be running the vehicles longer than what we're thinking the expected life is. And so to back off one iota is the wrong thing to do because of what we could be facing because of what's going on just because of the supply chain issues. So just make that as an observation.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President,
Mr. Penn.
Director Lascat.
Just to bring a point, you approved the pass of F-150s. Because of the availability of Tahoes, this order actually supplements that. It gets rid of some of the F-150s and replaces with the Tahoes that are now available. The order for the year is now, I want to say 65 Tahoes and 10 F-150s.
Ordinance is being introduced, 64001 through 64009.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of 64-008, with the rest of these ordinances being laid over for 1 week.
Second. Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk.
64008, rezone newly annexed areas in Kings Branch, Orchard Estates, and the Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B3.
Move to table.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item table.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 37001 through 64004.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions as read.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Wait.
37001 and 002 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to Tandoor Indian Cuisine on Airport Boulevard, and for issuance of a retail beer, table wine off-premises only license to Sefco on Chillinger Road South. 60003 and 004 are determining appropriations to the Mobile Area Black Chamber of Commerce and Africatown Community Development Corporation serves a public purpose and approving payment.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass.
Resolutions being introduced, 07005 through 60020.
Per council rules, these will lay over for 1 week.
Call for public hearings, 41021, 41022 are calling for public hearing to consider approval of a conditional, 41021, call for public hearing to consider approval of a conditional use permit to allow a home-based daycare for property located at 1016 Belvedere Circle East, scheduled February 6th. 41022 and 41023 are calling for public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved planning approval and for previously approved plan unit development for property located at 3650, 3704, 3708, 3758 Spring Hill Avenue, both scheduled February 6th. 41024, call for public hearing to rezone newly annexed area of Cottage Hill Road corridor from R1 to B2, scheduled February 6th. 2025, call for public hearing to rezone newly annexed area in the Kings Branch Orchard Estates and the Cottage Hill corridor from R1 and B3, scheduled February 6th.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
Madam Clerk, did we say we was going to take up those items that we was going to table for next week, take them up today, or we just going to? We did. We already tabled them? Okay, all right. All right, District 6, Councilman Woods.
Just want to wish everyone a happy new year, and be on the lookout, District 6, for some things that have in the works. Looking for a community event, probably the first part of February, and then also our quarterly meeting date will be announced. So should have that to you this week.
All right, thank you, Councilman Woods. District 2, Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well aware of the MLK Day of Service is approaching, coming up. The District 2 station will be at the rear of the Bishop's Day Community College parking lot. We'll meet there, organize there, and we'll take up positions within the campground and also lower MLK as our work our way through the Day of Service on that day. I'd like to wish all of you a happy new year and a prosperous new year, and a new year where we're all working to look out for each other and protect each other. I'm looking for great things in the city of Mobile this year as we move our district forward and as we take on some of our newer projects in this district too. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. District 5, Councilman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to wish everybody a very happy and prosperous 2024, and look forward to continuing my service to the citizens, both new and old, of District 5. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. District 4, Councilman Reynolds.
No announcements.
District 1, Councilman Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a question for the administration. Do we have anyone that address complaints from, like, when we deal with for residents when they have issues with, like, businesses throughout the city? Like, and from say you have a business that they leaving trash out and not picking up the trash when they walk into a certain business, it's smelling, it's these type of issues. Do we have anybody to address that, or can they call a number to address these type of issues?
On the litter, or allowing litter on the property and stuff like that?
Litter on the property. If they go in a certain business, it has a smell, odor. Who they need to contact?
They can put the work order in through 311, and we'll send municipal enforcement out. Also, we have shared responsibility of with the Mobile County Health Department too, if they're serving food or anything like that. So we'll be able to vet that and get it to the proper people that do those inspections.
I just want to make sure that every community is getting served properly. We've been receiving complaints, and I have visited different places throughout my district where I walk up and you see overflowing trash that haven't been picked up. You walk in different grocery stores and you smell things. And I go in that same franchise in a different community, and I don't smell, it smells great, look great. And we need to solve these issues, and I want to make sure our residents get the best in every area. So I will make sure our community knows to call 311, make sure we get that information to call the health department, because we need to make sure every community is served properly. Happy New Year to District 1. Happy New Year to the city of Mobile. On New Year's Eve, we celebrated in Mobile with the Moon Pie Drop. We featured amazing artists, Dana Dane, Big Daddy Kane, Yo-Yo, Slick Rick, Rob Bass. It was amazing seeing so many people come down and celebrate. Me and my wife was there. My colleagues, President Small, and my other colleague, William Carroll, Councilman Carroll, I had to think his name. It's been a long week. we celebrated. We had a good time. And so I really want to thank all the city workers. It was so amazing to see, like, even afterwards, how they was cleaning up, taking care of our city. So to every city worker, I just want to truly tell you thank you so much. To the Mobile Police Department, to the fire team, to everyone that public works. I mean, you truly make our city go. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for every person that participated with this event. Your service was just amazing. And it was a great event, very successful. I mean, people just really had a great time, and I had a great time. And so I also want to thank the mayor and the administration for supporting this event. If it wasn't for them and my colleagues, we wouldn't be able to put an event like that to support our city. We need events like that. It's an economic boost for our city, and it brings people out. The problem is that after the event, we had an incident that had nothing to do with the event. Nothing to do with the event. We had a great time, great celebration. The incident occurred after the celebration. And I was saddened to hear about that. A life was lost. And my prayers are with the family. But I have been mentioning this for weeks. I said it before. We need a plan to address these issues that we see in our city. These are things that are challenging. Sometimes it's hard to talk about. But it's time to address these issues. And I made a post. The news shared it. I realized I'm being honest, now I'm a councilman. I forgot that anytime I post anything, they just gonna go and take it. I'm like, my mom said, Corey, you on the news? I said, I ain't saying nothing. But I post something on Facebook. And I just said I was heartbroken. And I believe that we need a plan because a life was lost in my district a couple days before that incident occurred. We need a plan to address these issues, and I believe that we can do this and that we can achieve this together. And I would love to have the support of the administration and our colleagues to create this plan. It's interesting, I was talking to Pastor Lou, and that on MLK Day is coming up. And it represents 60 years of Dr. Martin Luther King receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. I think this is the month that we should come together and be serious. Now, I'm grateful. I'm going to have a service day. We will be at Holloway Elementary School, and we will be cleaning up our community. But I think it's time to not just have a service day, but it's time to create a plan. Bring everybody together at the table. Leaders from our school system, leaders from our church, our pastors, the elected officials, and it's time for us to really create a concrete plan. We've been trying to put out fires here and there, but it's time for us to lead the charge together. The police department, the council. We've been seeing throughout these couple of weeks that people have been trying to divide us. It's time out for that. And if we truly want to be one Mobile, we have to come together. If we want to solve these issues, we have to come together as a community. So going forward, I'm working with Pastor Lou. I'm working with some other pastors throughout this city. Hopefully, we can come together and we will release some information. And when that information is released, I will have the support of my colleagues and the administration so we can create a plan so we can see some change in our city and our community. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. District 7 Vice President Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of notes. 8th Road at Ziegler Boulevard will be closed beginning tomorrow through the 5th, through the end of the week, weather permitting, for work on drainage. It's all part of the Ziegler widening project. People who live on Athey Road will still have access to get to their homes, of course, and there are other entrances onto Athey Road, but that entrance right there on Ziegler Boulevard will be closed for drainage work. I also have a Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service planned. We will meet at the fairgrounds, I believe, Josh, that's where we're meeting. I hope that's okay with you. Volunteers will be meeting there and going in different directions. We generally will stay within the Athey Road, Cody Road, Ziegler area. So volunteers are still needed. If you would like to sign up, there's plenty of information. Come on, and we will be out there picking up trash in the area on the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. That's all.
And greetings to the citizens of District 3 again. Happy New Year. If you all received my electronic newsletter on last week, we had did many great things last year. Looking for even more greater things this coming year. The best is yet to come. And again, just the excitement of having a new community center in the district is enough for me, but just about. Also, I would like to piggyback also on Councilman Penn with the excitement of the moon pie drop. It was a very successful event, despite what had happened afterwards. But we had many visitors in our city of Mobile, and it was great to have a great and successful evening with several national known artists inside the city of Mobile, and it was a free event. And again, I would like to thank all the sponsors, the city, the administration, everyone who had participated in making this event great. And again, it was a successful event on this past Sunday night. Also, our day of service for District 3 will be held at the Manhattan Park. I will give more information on this week about that, along with additional community meetings that we got scheduled coming up. Is there anything from the administration?
Mr. President, I've got to take us back for a minute.
Mr. Carroll. Hold on, Mr. Carroll. Anything from the administration? Okay. Mr. Carroll.
Knowing that you do, or you did show that you have a little bit of rhythm on a Sunday night out there dancing the way you were, I'm surprised that you're in here standing up today. Mrs. Biko mentioned that the comprehensive plan was amended by the Planning Commission. Did we, as a council, vote to approve that amendment, being that it's part of the new system? And if we did, you can just nod and say yes. So we haven't voted on that. We're not required to. Okay. All right. That's what I need to know. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm good with that.
Motion to adjourn.
And properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.